Hey guys, so Season 8 starts today. Good luck in your placement games if you're going to play them, and I hope you get the 0-10 Yasuo God on the enemy team today and not on your team. We're going to be looking at some big myths about climbing in League and probably any other competitive game as well, which should help you in your placement games especially. I do kind of want to make this into a regular series of videos, but I'm not sure. So let me know if you think that'd be cool with a comment or a like, and make sure to leave some myths or questions for me to look at down there as well. So number one, you have to be good at the game, you have to understand the game properly, and you cannot make mistakes if you want to get a higher rating. This is probably the biggest myth that I hear in the entire game all of the time. Everybody I've ever talked to who feels stuck starts with, I'm bad and I cannot climb, or is frustrated after making a bad play. You'd kind of think that it would make sense that you have to be good at the game to climb, but actually, first of all, you only have to play better than your opponent in that specific game. You don't have to be a better player overall. You just have to play better at this specific point in time. That is a very key difference between the two. A big part is also about making yourself carryable. You don't even have to be better than your opponent often, actually. Like, obviously that is a really good place to start, but you don't have to be. You just have to make sure that your team can pick up the slack. Sometimes when we're losing, it's pretty tempting to just kind of give up on the game a little bit and go a bit too far, but if you don't do that, make yourself carryable, it will help a ton. It comes down to really making more good plays than the enemy team, even if you have made a lot of mistakes at the same time. The key thing here is for a lot of higher players, actually, they go ham, they make mistakes, but they get a lot of kills and they carry still. They're going to try and make a lot of plays in the game. Some of those are going to be bad and they're going to backfire, but a lot of those are going to be good, and that is where you win the game. Another way of looking at that is making less mistakes than the enemy team. Like, if you get caught, kind of sucks, probably shouldn't have happened, but if you can catch the enemy team twice after that, then it's definitely going to go in your favor anyway, right? Or none of the above, actually. You can win while being awful in that game. You can actually not play better than your opponent. You can make yourself uncarryable, make less good plays, and make a lot of mistakes, like more than the enemy team, and you can still win. It is such a big myth that you have to be good and understand what you are doing in the game and have good macro play and stuff, like good map rotations. You don't need that to climb. Like, sure, it's better to have it, but a lot of players don't. League is designed in a very specific way that is complex but also straightforward at the same time. You can have basically zero game sense and still get higher by following what works for you or what works in that game. That kind of leads us on to our next one, actually. You have to hard carry every single game if you want to climb. You have to pick a hard carry champion. That's not true. It's actually all about consistency. If you feel stuck at ELO, like a specific ranking, you've been there for a while, it's unlikely because you're bad or you don't belong there. It's because you aren't very consistent in the games that you are playing. Some games you'll pop off, some games you'll do pretty much nothing. That's actually quite common. Using me as an example, right? If I win lane as an AD, it's honestly not too hard to win the game from there just because of how the role is and stuff. If I play Kalista, I am more consistent, I climb easier because I'm the one doing a lot of the work in the lane phase to actually win it. If I play Xayah though, who I'm not as good at, I'm not consistent and it's hard to climb because I rely on my support to win the lane for us a lot more actually than when I play Kalista. That support changes game to game, so that's not consistent. That is just one example of consistency, but even if I win my lane, I might still lose the game. Now that is actually perfectly fine. That is going to happen. If I am consistent, more often than not, I will win the game and I will climb higher up. Solo queue is not about being the best player and popping off every single game. Like, sure, hard carrying will obviously help you win some games, but for climbing, it's actually about stringing wins together by playing consistently well over a period of time. The last one we're going to look at is having good mechanics and game knowledge are the most important things for you to focus on. These are very obvious things, and it's obvious to tell when you're doing them right. Game knowledge to know what you're supposed to do and mechanics to actually be able to do it. There is another thing though, your mindset or your attitude. I'm not going to give you some waffly explanation about staying positive and all that stuff because it's not that. That's not really true. It's basically how well you can deal with the game that you're in. For some people, this is quite easy. For others, like me, I get frustrated, especially when I don't play very well, like me personally, and that attitude is really holding me back. Your mechanics and your game knowledge are dependent on your mindset for most people. Now, this is for regular climbing, by the way. If you have insane mechanics or game knowledge, yes, you can just rely on one of those, but that is not how the game works for us regular plebs. If you start to get frustrated or you tilt, someone flames you, it bothers you a little bit, your mechanics and your decision making will get worse from that point. You're not as focused. I know it sounds kind of a little bit weird, but honestly, it's a much bigger deal than most people realize because you can't perform at full capacity. You're not going to play as well. Some of this is also your ego. Losing to someone you think is worse than you or played worse than you can kind of annoy you. It can also be when someone on your team starts flaming you for no reason. Resisting that urge to fire back and flame back when you know you're right can really get to some people. It can even be leaving the last game behind you. Like maybe you played bad, or maybe you had a very bad team a few games in a row. If you take that frustration or mindset into the next game, you will be playing worse. Your mechanics and your game knowledge will not be as good. The point I'm trying to make is, yes, you need mechanics and game knowledge to climb. They will definitely help, but for those to be working 100%, you will also need to have a good mindset. Without a good mindset, I don't think your mechanics or your game knowledge will be good enough to climb consistently. So that is our first episode of this myth busting wrapped up. Let me know what you think of the idea for the series. Thank you for watching, and for now, I'll leave you with the robots.